Want to go far in business and in life? You can't do it alone. The secret is expanding your network of personal relationships, building friendships, connecting on an intimate level, away from the office, over a coffee or cocktail. Welcome to All In with the real Nate Payo. The show that asks what happens when you go all in and leverage the power of your network of personal relationships.
Hello, and welcome to the All In podcast with Nate Payo. Of course, I'm your host, Nate Payo. I'm sitting today with a really cool guy that's been around in the CrossFit world for a long time. His name's Jason Khalipa. He's a professional athlete, philanthropist, author, father. You're doing a bit of it all. You're also a author of a book and a host of 2 podcasts. You've got like a ton of things going on, don't you?
A few different verticals of the business. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So for people that aren't really familiar with CrossFit, Jason was like one of the first, I think, big names to come out when it was taken off in the CrossFit world. And when I first got plugged into CrossFit, I decided I wanted to go take a level 1, which was this idea of like you go into this like 2-day seminar and you get trained and you could go out and become a coach. And at the time, like CrossFit was still pretty new. This was in like 2009. So if you did CrossFit, you kind of knew everybody in the CrossFit world, or you knew of them. And Jason was one of my instructors. He probably doesn't remember me because there's been probably a bazillion people have come through. But what was really cool, I think, about that time period was just this whole idea of community. And what set that apart was like you would go to a gym and you didn't want to leave. Like there's this big FOMO moment. Like if you left the gym, you were going to miss like seeing your friends and a chance to work out. So that was like a really cool time. And that was really my first introduction to Jason. So welcome to the show, Jason.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. We're, we have a few different verticals of our business. We have a few different things going on. We can talk about whatever you want.
Okay, cool. So I'll start off with my first question to get the conversation going is the word lucky. You know, do you believe people are lucky, or what are your thoughts around luck?
I mean, you know, Guy Raz talks about this a lot on how we built this. At the end, he always says, hey, was it luck or was it hard work? And I think you could say that some people are given a little bit more opportunity, potentially because of how they grew up, what resources they have, what connections they have. Timing plays a big factor, but I think at the end of the day, people do get more lucky than others, but maybe that luck is a byproduct of recognizing the opportunity and pursuing it. And I think that, yes, there's definitely such a thing as luck. There is. But I don't think it's just like, oh, I won the lottery luck. It's more like, I'm lucky to have been raised this way. I'm lucky to have had these experiences to lay the framework for me to make this decision, which laid the framework for this decision and that decision. So if that makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense. Like, you know, the right place and the right time is, you know, people say that always, oh, that person just got lucky because they're in the right place at the right time. But aside from like where your starting point is in life, you have choices and decisions that take you places. And if you are like pursuing things, you start putting yourself in positions to have more positive outcomes come out. So like, you know, you could, you know, let life happen to you, or you could be a little bit proactive to it. And the more proactive you are, I think the more blessings you're going to have. And if you just kind of keep pursuing them, you tend to have luck fall in your way, in a sense, like creating your own luck to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So you've been, you know, building a lot of businesses around NCFIT. Can you talk a little bit about what is NCFIT? And the part that really interests me is the idea around communities, particularly the communities you build in your gyms, but how people can go about and build communities, not just necessarily in their gyms, but maybe within their businesses or within their work environments, or just within group works of teams that they're working on together.
Yeah, I mean, so NCFIT, we opened in 2008 out of college, and we have 3 primary verticals of our business. We have open to the public gyms, which are all closed right now, which is not very fun. Corporate wellness gyms, where we provide all types of corporate training inside of companies where we run their full fitness centers, et cetera. And then we have a third vertical, which is our digital, which we have a business to business product where it's our session plans and programs we sell to other gym owners to use. And then also we have an end consumer product for people who want to train in their garage, at home, anywhere on the road. We have, in my opinion, a phenomenal product for the end user as well. So that builds up the business. And then with that, you talk about community, you talk about things like that. I mean, we have quite a few locations, and the glue is the coaching, engaging. We use private Facebook groups a lot, but I mean, it's really one handshake, one engagement, one experience at a time. And I think that's really important, especially in like retail, is that just because someone's paying you a monthly membership, you have to renew your member every single day. And they're one bad experience away from never coming back. And I think with that mindset, you're always trying to over-service, and that's been helpful for us.
Yeah. A community can change a lot. Like if you had a gym with 5 members in it, you have a dynamic that's occurring. But you add 2 or 3 other people, the dynamic changes with the new personalities that come in, and the dynamics change when you get to 20 people, when you get to 200 people. Like, is there a method that you help these other coaches kind of adjust to the changing dynamics with their culture? And I mean, to me, sometimes it grows, it gets a life of its own. And like, hey, you want to own a gym, and all of a sudden there's this community of people that they're making up how the whole thing functions, and you're kind of the leader of it, but it does have a bit of a life of its own than maybe what you intended.
Yeah, of course. And the bigger the group, the harder it is to manage. I mean, group management is really important. Understanding how to, be a coach and shepherd the class in such a way that's constructive and people are having fun and making it dynamic. But then outside of class, right? People are coming in for the best hour of their day. And so it's really important for us to make sure that when they walk in the door to the moment they leave, they have multiple different touch points from multiple different people that are all focused on the exact same criteria, the exact same thing, to ensure they have the best experience while they're there. And this is done by streamlining our approach, having very consistent manuals and things like that we go after. But then also, like, that's the formal stuff. The informal stuff is knowing, hey, is this person's birthday? Are they a huge Cal Bear fan? Let's talk about that at the front desk. Let's discuss these things. And part of the way we do that is in the beginning of each class, not every class, but most classes, it'd be like, hey guys, quick question. We're just curious. What would you rather have? A steak or fish? Or, what's your favorite restaurant in the local area? Or something to kind of create conversation. What's your, favorite mascot of a school? And this is just a way to kind of create an icebreaker and create a conversation. And what you'll end up finding is that some guy will say, oh, my favorite restaurant's whatever. Someone else like, oh yeah, me too. And then all of a sudden they have a commonality that they start creating a connection. And the more connections we can build inside of this gym, the better, because the more glue that creates to our community.
Mm-hmm. I love that of like, you build a connection with somebody by having something relatable to them. And a lot of times, like, you go into anywhere new the first time and you're like intimidated. You're like, who are all these people that I don't know, that they all know each other? And you walk in. And that was the one thing I think I noticed when I first started going to the CrossFit gym I used to go to, was the first day I walked in, somebody welcomed me and said, hey, how are you doing? I'm so-and-so. And then like, you felt welcome. You felt like it was okay to be there. But then after time, you started like having conversations with other people about other common interests. And it becomes this glue that bonds. And you start thinking like, I can't leave this gym because I've got, 20, 30 friends here that's like family. So like there's retention, I think, from there as making friends with people, but you're also, people want to keep coming back, and it raises the level of energy. And the more people I think that come in and see that, they want to stay and be a part of that too. So there's something to be said about just having little connections with people and it developing into friendships that just make people do business with people they like. I mean, period.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. So
100%.
What, right now you mentioned that the gyms are shut down and we're in the COVID-19. Where do you see like the future of post-COVID? What does a fitness center look like post-COVID-19 to you?
Probably a different landscape. You have the, LA Fitnesses of the world that are one model. You have the boutique fitness, and then you have the personal training model. Right now, they're all kind of being determined as one, which is which is tough because we're not going to be able to open for months and months. That being said, after we do open, I'm very concerned that the restrictions will be so restricting that it wouldn't even make sense to reopen. That's what I'm concerned about. So, take, our model. We base our model off one person per every, let's just say 100 square feet. We can fit 20 people per class. We have this many classes per day, and we base our financials based on that. But if all of a sudden the requirement becomes one person per every whatever, and you have to have certain protocols, so you can only have, 5 class days instead of 10. Well, now all of a sudden we can't even if we were open, we just couldn't even accommodate enough people to run a profitable business. And so what we'll need is negotiations with landlords, potentially a raising the rates. Who knows? I'm also really concerned about restaurants, obviously. A close friend of mine is Michael Mina, and they have a lot of restaurants. And with their restaurants, they base it, I'm sure they base their financials based on how many tabletops they could have. But if you're cutting that in half, are they even going to open? Because same with us. All of a sudden, our insurance cost goes up, our cleaning bill goes up, our staff goes up. We might be better off just not even opening the doors than opening at half capacity.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that has to be figured out. And some fitness centers, I think, have more challenges than others. Like a lot of people are working out at home right now. And the Peloton idea, you have a bike at home, you take digital classes. That thing had been going on for a while, and it's a lot of fun. And the coaching is pretty good on it. But now, everybody bought the bike. And I've kind of started looking at, what are other gyms that could be doing it? If you owned a yoga studio, or you owned, a bar fitness place, something where you don't need a lot of space. In your gyms, people are moving from maybe a pull-up rack to a squat bar to running around the block. So there's a lot more logistics to worry about. But if your logistics are simple, just adding in a Zoom class with some remote subscriptions, I think, is an easy way for people to double their income. Is just basically hey, if I can have a $150 membership for the people that come in person and sell it online for $15 a month for people remotely, and get a few 100,000, maybe 1,000 subscribers remotely, you could easily kind of increase your income and maybe bridge that gap. But do you see that being an option?
Yeah, the challenge is that, you have guys. So like I told you, we have digital products. We've had it for years. It's not new to us. And the challenge is, if you're a brick and mortar person, for example, for you, if you're focused on residential construction, then all of a sudden I'm hey, I want you to become commercial construction. You have a basic understanding, you have whatever, but that hasn't been your forte for years, right? You are residential, which is a different beast than commercial, for the sake of this argument, right?
Yeah.
Same thing can be said for fitness. In gym, brick and mortar is a different beast than digital. And just because you do digital well doesn't mean you can do brick and mortar well. I don't think Peloton could go do what SoulCycle's done, and I don't think SoulCycle could go do what Peloton's done, because they both have had so much learning through that experience. And so for us, the way we pivoted is we already have an app. We already have all this stuff. So now we're putting together a follow-along at-home workout with dumbbells. Follow along, high quality, good audio, good video, good, all those things matter. And so that's what I think is going to need to happen for some of these guys to sustain. But I'm pretty worried that a lot of them are going to go out of business because they've built their business on brick and mortar, and they're not going to be able to pivot to digital at a high enough quality to justify the cost. You need to have a whole team.
And you need you learn a lot along the way, I'm sure. You make a lot of mistakes and you don't realize things. Yeah, it's crazy. So it's a tough world to be in. Are you getting a lot of people reaching out to you that weren't in part of your coaching programs and asking, hey, what do we do?
Yeah, we have a ton of stuff that's going on to gym owners, and yes, we have a lot. And the reality is that there's a lot of people out there that always want to try and say, hey, for $5,000, I'll give you the toolkit to get you through this. The reality is no one knows, right? This is new territory. And so there's certain things we could do, but we are only speaking on things once we receive new information and how we're pivoting and what we're doing to shift. And in California, we really need to wait. We can go out there and go buy face masks and cleaning supplies. What happens if Gavin Newsom says, hey, you're not the cleaning supplies needs to be this specific type. And all of a sudden that money we spent is wasted. So we're being very careful of the information we should send out to our affiliate or, like partners that use our programs, because we don't want to give wrongful information.
Yeah, that's tricky because every even that's statewide instructions, but they could be countywide or citywide, a little bit different, a little bit trickier. State to state, it's even different. And then I'm sure you got people in other countries too that's even different than that. So it's an interesting time to be in. I do want to ask you, what is the AMRAP mentality that you try to instill?
I wrote a book. It's called As Many Reps as Possible, or AMRAP Mentality. And for anybody that's in fitness, they've probably heard this idea of an AMRAP. It's as many reps as possible. And the goal is you're really fighting against the clock. And so for me, I was trying to balance in my life how to compete professionally, how to build a business, and how to have a family. And I found that when I AMRAPed each thing, I got a lot more work done in less time. And so the AMRAP mentality is about identifying what you want to focus on, like this conversation, work hard at it, switch gears to something else, work hard at that, switch gears to something else, work hard at that, instead of being 1 foot in, 1 foot out the whole time. And that was something I really started to embody in my life, and it paid big dividends for a very long time. It still does to this day, of AMRAPing each area, each focus throughout my day.
That's a good take. It's almost like they say multitasking doesn't work, and it sounds like you're taking a very focused approach to the task at hand for the time you need to spend on it, moving to the next task. So even though maybe you're multitasking, you're not thinking about what's next until you move on. It's just constantly just very focused.
Yeah, because what it was 2012, 13, 14, I was competing at the highest level at CrossFit. And then we opened up, I think, 10 locations globally those years. And, I'm on conference calls and trying to do assault bike intervals, and it just wasn't working, right? It just wasn't working. And I had to prioritize and focus.
Yeah, that's tough to have so many things going on and finding balance, but you seem to have been very successful at accomplishing that. And you got a lot of big things in store, I'm sure. Next question for you I have is the idea of all in. How would you define being all in on an idea or an outcome?
I would say that you have earned your confidence to make a decision. So meaning, I talk about this thing of perceived confidence versus earned confidence. I think earned is like, if I want to lift a 100-pound barbell, I start off with 10 pounds. Then 20, then 30, then 40, and I build. So when I get to that 100-pound barbell, I know I'm going to be able to lift it. Same thing applies with anything in business. You can earn your confidence through many reps, many learning experiences. Then you have this thing like perceived, where you could tell yourself you're prepared, but you're not. And that'd be the equivalent of like you and I going and trying to fight, Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match. We could tell ourselves all we want that we're going to knock him out. But chances are he's going to have the earned confidence from decades of training to feel good. I think once you have the earned confidence and you're ready, then you could go all in. Meaning you have the framework and the foundation to say, hey, this is where we're going, and we're all in based on all these previous experiences. I know this is the right path.
Yeah, you have to do like set a base of whatever you're at, have some experience to it that you become competent in what you're accomplishing. So I like that definition.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Your plans have probably been changed quite a bit in the last few months, but prior to this, what would you said? What's next for Jason Khalipa? Where are you taking the next 5-10 years? Where do you want to be?
It's tough because our brick and mortar, we have a lot of locations, and we're opening up new ones with a big box gym. We're about to have a grand opening. Last week we were supposed to have a grand opening. That surely didn't happen. And so I'd say that right now, our real focus is getting in line with what I believe in, which is we have great products for in the gym. We also have great products for outside the gym, and go out there and have a singular message on getting people off the couch, using these follow along programs, and focusing on what we're uniquely good at, which is delivering fitness to people, whether it's in our gyms or at home. And that's what we're going to be focused on. And we're going to stick with it.
So if I was at home and I didn't know much about fitness, but I knew I wanted to do something and I wanted to get off the couch and I can't go to the gym, I can't find a trainer because of everything going on, and I'm looking at your app, like what's going to compel me to pick your app, like as a newcomer? Like, can I expect to be overwhelmed, or is it going to be easy to jump in and kind of figure it out and roll with it?
It's a good question. I mean, I think the reality is that we have pivoted to follow along dumbbell workouts. So you grab a set of dumbbells. If you have 2 sets, even better. And you follow along with me or one of our other coaches. And you literally just do what we do, from a warm-up to a strength work to a Metcon or a conditioning workout. We also have mobility built into our app. So if you want to increase range of motion, we've partnered with the Ready State to be able to do it. And I think that's a really unique value proposition for someone. Grab a set of dumbbells, watch these videos on your computer, on the TV, and we got you taken care of. So that's where we're at, and I think it'll continue to grow. It's taken us a while to get to this point, but I'm excited about it.
It is pretty cool, and it's like almost like taking it back to like the simplest thing. Just like you just need one little thing that's heavy, and move with it in a manner, and you don't have to have crazy wild stuff with like I think a lot of times people get so caught up in like that the everything has to be grand and it has to be crazy and it has to be like gnarly Spartan racy, like a million things. It's like, no, it's 2 things, and it can be just body weight and a dumbbell, and do that every day.
Smoked.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is I'm bringing, I got introduced to the fitness space big time when I was 14, right? So that's 20 years. For well over half my life, I've been in the trenches in a gym. Like not like hypothetically. Like, no, I'm talking like in the conventional gym, in the traditional CrossFit space, powerlifters, weightlifters. I've met with everybody because I was trying to get better as a professional athlete. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, where I'm at as a 34-year-old dad of 2, husband and business owner, is I want to grab a set of dumbbells and I could stay in really good shape and I could look pretty strong. I could look good, feel good if I do this workout and I eat appropriately. And it's not rocket science. You just have to follow along with the program.
Yeah, I love that. It's just stick to the program and keep it simple. So
that's it.
Awesome. Well, somebody wants to find your app. They want to find your website. Where can they find you, and where should I direct them to?
The best place is just nc.fit. From there, you got a lot of options, but nc.fit. There's no .com. It's just nc.fit. And, we can go to our virtual, we can go to our in-gym. We have corporate wellness. There's a lot going on, but the virtual is really where I believe we can make a big impact on the world. And so I'm really excited about it.
That's exciting. I'm happy to see that the virtual thing's taken off well for you.
Yeah,
appreciate you coming on the show.
Of course. I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, thank you.
Make sure to visit our website, therealnatepeo.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, so you'll never miss an episode of All In. While you're at it, if you found value, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if simply tell 2 friends about the show. Looking to connect? You can find Nate Peo on LinkedIn or Instagram.